I was looking at your channel earlier today, Art, and looking through. Every time we have someone on that does your kind of content, like Turkey Tom, we talk to him. I'm sure you guys are adjacent. You probably know each other.
I first met him when he made a video called "Why I Hate the Gamer" from Mars when he was 14 years old.
That's funny. And now you overcome that, I'm sure.
No, after that, I hired him to work for me, writing and editing for me when he was like 16, and then eventually, like, he blew me out of the water, and he has more subscribers than me. So he's rocking and rolling now.
Oh, okay. But you're on good terms now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He was at my wedding. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like Tom. He's a cool guy. I asked him, like, what was the most fucked up thing he's investigated? And I think I might know the answer before I ask you based on the videos I poked around. But what's the most upsetting, disgusting person you've ever done an expose on?
I mean, I filmed in person with Chris Chan prior to the arrest. So as I'm working on like a giant 5-hour-long Chris Chan documentary, I don't know how to end it. And then the news came out that fateful day, and me and my team.
Trans associate of Mr. Beast. Am I?
No, this is a different guy. That's Chris from Mr. Beast.
Chris Chan, Sonichu.
You be careful with that medallion; it'll curse you.
I just met with Chris Chan again a couple of months ago for a follow-up documentary, and
pardon my flashness.
And she gave me a custom Chris Chan Sonichu medallion with like a special eye on the back of it. So I haven't worn it.
I don't know anything about Chris Chan.
Chris Chan is the person who got arrested for supposedly raping his own mother. Chris Chan is there's a great police activity video. I always steer you guys back there.
Yeah,
of Chris Chan.
It was very funny. I watched that one.
and the cops are in his. It's a trans person, but it's like very clearly like a masculine trans person, but. We got some kind of Sonichu, and she keeps talking about invisible people who aren't in the room, who she's married to, like characters. It's like she's like, I don't remember what they were, but she's like, oh yeah, I'm married to like Knuckles and fucking Tails, and they're here in the room.
Charmander, yeah.
Can you feel Charmander?
Chris Chan saying these things?
Yeah. To the cops. Okay. The cops in cuffs on a bed in their own motel. They're confirming the warrant, and she's just like, did you feel that? And the cop's like, what? My husband Knuckles just slapped you. He's like, no, I didn't feel that. Hit him harder, baby. And this is, obviously there's an invisible person there, but outside fans have started to gather and they're yelling like, free Chris Chan.
Yeah, that's even Ralph filmed that.
Is that Chris Chan there?
That's Chris Chan.
Chris Chan grew up as a boy.
Chris Chan. So the story behind Chris Chan is that he was born in the 80s. He was originally named Christopher, but when he was 10 years old, an animatronic bear at the mall called him Christian instead of Christopher. So he started referring to himself as Christian, and his parents were very religious, so they thought it was like a sign from God. So they legally had his name changed from Christopher to Christian because they thought it was like Jesus telling him. So from there, he lived as Christian for many years and grew up, and then found the internet in like 2007 and proceeded to be the most trolled person of all time online, with his own wiki having over 10,000 articles, I believe, at this point. And when he was around 35, I believe, right after his father died, he transitioned to become a woman. Is now Christine.
When did the alleged sexual assault or whatever go down?
So this is what I wonder if it was alleged, the charges were dropped mainly because the courts just didn't want to deal with the situation, and it was like a time served almost thing where she was in prison for pretty much 2 years, and then they just let her out because she has a manager in real life that basically was able to find her housing that was not with her mother to get out of prison. So now when they said, okay, we have an apartment for her to be at and a way to make money by selling medallions online, that the courts were like, fine, just as long as she's living on her own, we're gonna just drop this and move on.
Because the mother's like not well, right?
Mother's in her 80s, yeah. And she's not in the best mental state. There was actually a sighting of his mother for her mother for the first time in a while. Chris Chan made a homemade Kamala Harris for president sign and posted it in his mother's front yard. And in the background, you zoom in really close and you see her mom like looking out one of the windows.
Can you see the disappointment in her eyes, despite the dementia?
Do we know?
All I remember is I hate my son.
Is Chris Chan serving prison time with men or women?
So That was a big thing.
Oh.
Tucker Carlson actually covered the story when it first came out, because I think at some point she was in a female facility, but she was bounced around a lot. And at one point she was in a mental institution before they brought her back to the county jail. So it was all over the place. From my understanding, for the most part, it was more of a solitary confinement sort of thing, where she wasn't in the general population at any facility she was at. And when she was, it was like supervised. Someone was always there seeing.
It seemed, I mean, you obviously know so much more about the Chris Chan lore. What was the made up, this is old Chris Chan now, what was the name of his like made up sexuality? That was like, he was like, he defined it as he was into boyfriend-free girls.
When he was at the community college, where it took him like 4 years to get a 2-year degree, I believe, he set up a sign for himself to get a girlfriend, and it had all of the listings. I mean, speaking of Tinder, this is like pre-Tinder. He was ahead of his time. It was looking for a boyfriend-free girl, must have a car, must be between like 18 and 21 years of age, and at the bottom it said like no blacks or something like that.
Yeah, it's like must be white. Like he was.
Then there was this woman, Mary Lee Walsh, who was working at the college as like a facility head, and she took his sign and like ripped it up. And then Chris Chan made Mary Lee Walsh in Soul Calibur as a custom character, and then he made himself a custom character and then beat the crap out of Mary Lee Walsh in the game. And that was his first ever upload to YouTube, where the 4chan first found him.
It's such an anomaly, such an OG lolcow. I didn't know anything about Chris Chan until Taylor introduced me.
That's so surprising to me.
Some of the, well, you know, I don't like the most awful degenerate parts of the internet. Like Chris Chan belongs right there next to 2 Girls, 1 Cup and shit like that. It's like a
OG.
Fucked up OG nasty. And at some point you wonder how legitimate it is.
He's the original lolcow.
Yes.
Although the way you know it's real, in my opinion, is I don't think that Chris was putting on a performance for those cops with body cams. You were getting real deal, like legitimate Chris Chan. That's just how he farts at one point. And he's like, "Oh, excuse my flatulence." Yes. And it's like such a weird fucking thing to say. Like, what do you say to that? Like, bro, just let it.
Dude, the way the cops responded to, like, because like if you saw the clip, Woody, the cops are in this hotel room and they're like, "All right, just so you know, you are under arrest. Like, we're going to stay here for you." And Chris is sitting there like, "Oh, I'm just worried there's going to be so many trolls. There's going to be so many trolls out there. The internet's going to have a heyday. It's going to have a heyday with this. So many trolls." And the cops are clearly like, "Oh, really? That's so fascinating. Keep telling me about your made up reality of nonsense." And then like, as they're parading him out to go get arrested.
No, before that,
dozens of people are yelling like, Chris, free Chris Chan. Yelling from a parking lot. Like, this hasn't even been announced yet. It's just people who track what Chris Chan's doing, and the cops are like on body cam being like, he wasn't lying. This is the wildest thing I've never been on a call like this. He's a real internet creator. Like, really? Very funny.
It's really gross. Apparently, like the story was that he was sexually abusing his dementia-ridden mother, and it's like, that's like the worst thing you can do. That's worse than pedophilia, if you ask me. Like, that's horrific.
The one thing that should be stated about the claim that he did that was there was a troll named Isabella Loretta Jenke that her end goal was to have Chris commit suicide. So she was... The claim Chris makes is that he never did anything, or she never, sorry, I misgendered. She never did anything. It gets very confusing. She never did anything, but she coerced him into saying those things. So I don't know what the truth is, but that's his defense of it. It's not real. He says that it never happened.
This is a person that believes in entities that are invisible, and they're also, he was explaining, all right, what it sounded like he was explaining was some sort of a multiverse.
Yeah, so the explanation of the multiverse is Chris Chan, his parents were very dysfunctional growing up, so he obsessed over just cartoons like Pokemon and playing Sonic the Hedgehog, and that was like almost his reality. I'm kind of giving my philosophy and opinion on it.
No, I appreciate that, because we're not insane.
Yeah, so this is my angle. Like, not even other people might say this, but this is what I learned, or at least my summary. So he just, when his parents were messed up around him, he just fixated in on the cartoons and obsessed over making his own characters and stuff. And as he grew older, he just kept on doing it and kept on making his own comics with Sonichu and all these characters and watching Family Guy, and just there's this amalgamation of all the things he liked in his escapism. And then at a certain point around like 8 years ago, I would say, there was this group of trolls called the Idea Guys that convinced Chris Chan that Quickville, the town that Sonichu lived in, was like a real place and there was actually another dimension. So now he believes that like he's the reincarnation of Jesus, and like at some point the dimensions are going to merge together, and he's going to be the next coming of Christ, and the owner of Kiwi Farms is Judas.
The merging of the universes is what he was trying to explain to these cops who are hauling him off in handcuffs, by the way. And I don't mean to misgender the person, but it's like
it's confusing, especially when you're jumping on the timeline too.
But also because the person is like I think probably a troll and mentally ill. So like I don't know if this is a legitimate transsexual person. I think it might just be a wackadoo. But anyway, Chris was explaining that all of your favorite characters, like I like Sonichu, and they're like, what the fuck is Sonichu? it's like I took Sonic and Pikachu and I melded them into one in my mind, and now it's real. And then Sonichu and like whatever you like, the Terminator, like all of those fictional things have their own real universes, he believes, and they're going to merge and coexist. So we will exist alongside Sonic and the Hedgehog. We will exist alongside Pikachu, and will exist alongside Sonichu. All three will be there simultaneously. With
kind of like a Terrence Howard style theory.
Terrence Howard makes way more sense.
Oh, he seems like a Rhodes Scholar compared to Chris Chan.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a wackadoo, as you put it, like just absolutely loony.
It's pretty sad though, because the earliest time you could see him talking about another dimension and Quickville being a real place is when his dog Patty died when he was like, I don't know, 25, and the dog was like 18 years old. And like in his writings about his dog's death, he like basically says like, see you on the other side in Quickville. And then he incorporated Patty into the Sonichu comics going forward, where he jumps over there and like Patty's still alive. So it's just like a coping mechanism all around that's just been corrupted by trolls who have taken advantage of it to get it to the point it's at today.
Yeah, he'd probably just have ended up being a weirdo on his own somewhere. But, you know, the internet is a rough place when you behave that way and are that open with it.
It was the right person at the right place in the right time to cause Chris Chan to be like who he was. I would say that the biggest thing that makes a lolcow notable is that they're extremely gullible, but they're actually pretty competent as well. Because if you're just making fun of and messing with like a fully mentally incompetent person, like they probably won't even have the ability to use the internet. But also if a person's too smart, they're not going to fall for the trolls. You need someone like Chris Chan, who's actually, you know, when he was in high school, he was designing websites and making comics and making Pokemon cards for himself. It was actually like pretty impressive. But at a certain point, he just like kind of stopped like growing with his art and his abilities. And, you know, he desperately wanted a girlfriend, and he kind of fed into the fantasies of these trolls online who said that they were dating him, and he just went along with it.
What's he doing now? Is he making content that people watch?
Medallions.
Yes. So yeah, he's making the medallions, making custom art pieces. A lot of them sell for like hundreds of dollars if you make something interesting. So Chris Chan has a manager who does everything for him in terms of like shipping things out and making sure she gets the work done on time. And that pays the bills and pays for the apartment and stuff like that. And she lives a fairly comfortable life when I went down to visit her. And also, I would say that she is a lot more mentally with it than she was 5 years ago when I first met her before COVID and before everything went down. So she told me she wasn't like on any medicine or anything, but I think she talked to a therapist.
Could I get a look at that medallion once more? Because I didn't know they existed
So
until
this is not the I could go and get the real medallion. It's in my other closet. This is like a reproduction one that you could buy.
The one in the closet cannot be that funny. That's hilarious.
You want me to go get the other one?
Get the real one. Get the original cursed one.
I mean, that one looked like a child made it.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
that's the original. Something that's funny about Chris Chan is you'll see like the art style and drawings from like literally 20 years ago, and then ones from now. No progression in no progression. It's the exact same style of art 20 years later. Very funny.
That would be funny. Now that would be a funny way to troll. Like, because sometimes I see on Reddit, they'll be like, "This is me drawing a horse when I was in 8th grade. Right. This is me drawing a horse today." And it's like, holy shit, you're photorealistic these days, bro. This is art.
Okay, I got the real one. It would
be funny to do. This is Chris Chan's like drawing from the 8th grade. This is today, 28 years later. It's worse. It's more childlike.
So this is
that you have this.
The custom one that I got. This is a real one. It's not like a print of it. And then on the other side, you have the autograph, and then you have like this ball eye thing.
Jesus Christ.
It's like built in.
What does it say on the back?
It's just Jesus Christ Chan, Sonichu. So it's an autograph from.
He's
Jesus
signing
Christ.
himself as Jesus Christ Chan now.
Jesus Christ. I think it's like Jesus Christ Chan or something along those lines. Is the like long title.
Right.
Well, that's fucking.
Believing you're Jesus is one of the final steps in being crazy. Like,
Taylor, can I point out a little bit of hypocrisy here? Like, we along the way, we're like, he thinks he's Jesus. Like, that's insane. He thinks that Sonichu's real. That's insane. He thinks he's a woman. Okay, well, that might be completely legitimate. That might be the thing where he's just cogent and he's thinking straight, and we shouldn't question that one bit.
Oh, yeah. That's totally a real thing. Yeah.
So I will say that the signs of the transgenderism actually date back to high school. Some of his journals and stuff, he talks about like wearing like a fake bosom thing or something for like some home ed class.
Okay.
So there's like some early things, hints at it, and over time it just kind of progressed until after his father, who was very conservative, died. That's when it like just full out became the transgender angle.
So the Zach wanted us to bring up, and we'd be remiss not to. Can you fill us in on the Medallion curse? Who's been tagged by it so far, and why you seemingly have no fear?
I have not worn that medallion, actually.
I wouldn't either.
I've worn the fake one. I do not wear the real one. Maybe I think I will just for like the documentary to film something. But yeah, so there's people such as Rakita Law and who else? I'm drawing a blank, but basically the concept is every single person who has a medallion and wears it, they have a downfall. So it's kind of another angle that I'm playing up with part 5 of my documentary that I'm releasing kind of like 3 years after the first 4 parts, is that Chris Chan isn't really getting involved in much drama anymore. But now people that are wearing the medallion and are obsessed with Chris Chan are now seeing themselves getting a downfall and getting destroyed if they put it on. So
that one looks so much better than yours.
They all look the same to me. Am I crazy? Like, there's not a lot of variety in these.
They're slightly different. Yeah, there's Buddha.
How?
Maybe each of these is clearly very different.
The mouth is different.
This looks like the hamburger. This one to me looks like the hamburger helper glove. Fuck.
Well, here's
Pikachu.
The thing about the Chris Chan medallions is they're all homemade by Chris Chan, so they all look a little different. There's this guy named Geno who has the most known Chris Chan documentary that's like 100 hours long. It's just like every single tweet he's ever said is in it. And
you're telling me we haven't seen this one already?
No, they're all a little bit different.
Up, Art.
Each of them is clearly different. Can you really not tell the difference?
I'll hold both of them up.
They're 98% the same.
I mean, they are.
Yeah, like, but they're all.
How do you get
noticeably different? Yeah, how do you get past captions?
Challenge.
So this one's the official one from the Etsy store. That's like a reproduction, and this is a custom one that Chris Chan made just for me.
Night and day.
I'm right.
There's no different.
Here's the thing is, you joke. This thing is probably worth over $1,000 if I put it up on eBay right now. Like, people would pay that. Yeah. So that's the thing that I've kind of been intrigued by is what is the value of Chris Chan artwork? If the original copy of Sonichu episode 1 went for sale, how much would it sell for on the open market? I think there's a possibility someone spends $100,000 on it. Art's worth what someone's willing to pay.
Is Chris Chan the kind of like weird person from the internet that you think could get away with like selling bathwater?
Someone
Zach,
would buy
bring that picture back up. There was a mouse pad at the top, and I want to make sure I was seeing that correctly. What the fuck is that? Is that Wojak red mouse pad? What the fuck? What's being sold there?
It was Etsy, right? I assume.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought it was. Yep, that's exactly what I thought it was. Yep, I like that.
Made one of those.
I'm getting that right now. I need that. That's gonna help me for Tarkov. I'm gonna give the click on the meds better.
Yeah, I've never read through the Chris Chan comics, but like I've watched enough of the videos on him to have a gist of all of his nonsense. But like you said, the meme video series is I don't recall who you said made it, but like it's literally 100 parts.
Yeah, Geno Samuel made his, and his was before mine. And my original concept of why I reached out for Chris is like most people are not going to watch 100-hour-long documentary, so let me make a more concise one with like in-person footage of me like meeting the legend in real life. But the thing with Geno Samuel, which is interesting, is that he started selling his own reproduction medallions of Sonichu, and like Chris Chan's pissed off about it.
Of course, it's his character.
And like people are going to convention centers like for Comic Cons, and they have Chris Chan Sonichu booths where they're selling bootleg Sonichu merchandise, which is funny because one of the original trolls back in 2008 was them claiming that this British guy was selling bootleg Sonichu merchandise in Europe without his permission, and Chris Chan went berserk on it. And it, like, you go step forward 15 years in the future, and people are actually doing just that. It's not a troll. There's actually value on this, and people pay for it.
Didn't he also, I don't remember the full story, but it was like 10, 15 years ago, he became enraged by Nintendo or whoever owns Sonic, like changing the color of his outfit. And so he like went to a GameStop and like threw a tantrum, like coloring the color he liked on the cover of the boxes.
Yeah, so I would say that was around 2014 era. Chris Chan was upset that Sonic, one of the Sonic games, I can't remember off the top of my head, they changed the colors of Sonic's arms, and that enraged him. And Chris Chan made a Facebook group protesting it, and he ended up going to the GameStop, I believe, to recolor the arms of the little paper cutout of the new Sonic the Hedgehog, and he then proceeded to get told to leave by the associates there, and he then he didn't like that, so he maced them on the way out and fled. And he went. Oh, here's the other part.
I love watching Woody react to each step of that.
He went to the mall with his mom. His mom was shopping elsewhere, his 70-year-old mother at this point, and he went to the GameStop. He goes, maces the employee, flees the mall in his car, and leaves his mom stranded at the mall.
Based?
They're crazy person. But yeah. I guess everyone knows this but me, right? But I'm like, this person literally needs to be institutionalized. I had sympathy for them at first, but now this is a danger to society.
Again,
what you gonna do? Color some cartoon posters somewhere?
Well, he might do something really untoward with his mom. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know, and that's none of our business. For all we know, his mom's into that sort of thing. All right, who's judge? Who's the judge? Who's the judge?
A demented old woman wants that.
Yeah, that's how do you get in the mind of a demented old woman?
You don't. You can't. They're demented.
They're horny.
Fleeting.
I'm gonna tell you what I know. They're horny all the time.
You think so?
I know so. I've been volunteering.
You're trolling at the local retirement homes.
I've been volunteering. We play little checkers, and then we go in the back and play a different game.
Has he done? I'm drawing a blank, but I know there's been other violent stuff, right?
Yeah. There was another time where Chris Chan was warring with a local game room place where people were playing Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh card games, Magic the Gathering. He was at some point kicked out and banned from the location, and Chris believed that it was under new ownership at a certain point. So him and his mother went there to see if it was new ownership. The original owner was there. He's like, get out of here. And Chris on the way out hits him with his car and then flees the scene. And,
hits his person?
Hits this guy. Yeah,
hits GameStop with his car. Vehicular.
It wasn't GameStop. It was like a card trading place. So yeah, he hits the guy with his car, flees the scene, and then I believe that they ended up spending all of the inheritance money from the father after he died to pay the legal fees with some lawyer.
Circling back to what could he do? right? That we have our answer.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know he was going to do like a vehicular assault. Like that's crazy. You hit a person with a car. I see people do that online, and I'm like, that's a deadly weapon. You know what? You know it is because of how cops react when a guy drives a car in their general direction. They murder him. They shoot him so many times in the head that he can't think anymore.